D in Miami,
Giving the D.
Florida, taking it. The heat.
It is hot, bro.
It's getting hot
bro,
here too.
Oh, man, all this rain, all this humidity, bro. Me tiene loco, bro.
Yo, that's one thing I hate about there, bro. When you're a little mayonnaise ball, you just keep sweating, on that summer heat.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for stopping by the Broskiedoodles podcast. Today we have a fun-filled, packed episode for you, so stay tuned. Check it out. Let me know what you think in the comments below.
And hello, all you listeners. This is the Broskiedoodles, and I'm Kiko Flo, your co-host, along with my boy Stevie
D
in Miami,
giving the D,
Florida, taking it. The heat.
It is hot, bro.
It's getting hot here too.
Oh, man, all this rain, all this humidity, bro. Me tiene loco, bro.
Yo, that's one thing I hate about there, bro. When you're a little mayonnaise ball, you just keep sweating, on that summer heat.
It is. I mean, it's nice, It's nice, but like, it's so funny when I see people with sweaters. Like, you're obviously not a human being. Like, you're weird.
Fucking hipsters.
Or you have some kind of disorder or something, bro. How do you feel?
I'm just cold, like in the evening it's a breeze. Shut the fuck up, bro.
A breeze, a glorified fart. That's what that is.
Yeah, it's if you had like a ventilator, just blowing hot air, bro. You know what's funny? Here in Europe, we use ventilators. I don't know if that's a fan. Yeah, ventilator. That's more to like save lives, but. So it's a fan, right? Like you probably haven't heard the word fan in the last 40 years, right? But that's a thing that you do here, right? You buy fans, right? Like the last time I saw a fan was in a little town in Venezuela that was fucking old as shit. And then I came to Europe, right? The Mecca of civilization, and I see fans again. So
But if it ain't fixed, don't break it.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah, bro. In the summer, though, Madrid gets really hot, and it's a very dry city, which, they say is a humidity or is it, bro? They both suck. When it's hot, if it's humid, it sucks. If it's dry, it sucks too. So, but the point is, you put that fucking fan on the summer, and it just blows hot air in your face, and you're like, this is just reminding me more and more of how poor I am. And but yeah, it's getting hot. It's getting hot here too. On that note, our transition for today: would you move the fuck out where you live if you had?
Or would you keep your fan?
Or would you keep your fan?
No, dude. I mean, honestly, just it's funny. The fans look different now, right? Like before, you used to have the ones. I mean, and they still sell them, but the ones that like are on a pole, and they kind of like they have that big circle metal grid, and they just kind of oscillate. And you hope that your young cousin doesn't like.
You mean like that?
There
one
you go.
There?
Like that one exactly.
I got it, bro. I live in the 1930s.
And then now, since we're in America, we buy the tower fans, right? The ones or the Dyson like bladeless fans, which I do not have, but I do have a tower fan, and I sleep with it every single night, bro.
Oh, you do?
I don't have like a ceiling fan, which I used to love a lot, but I hate the fact that they always get so dusty.
Okay, so let me ask this. So you have air conditioning in your house, right?
Yeah.
But on top of that, you need a little bit of a breeze when you're sleeping. All right, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I mean, the only reason why I want the breeze to come in my face is because it's really hot.
Yeah.
So I just want the breeze to come all over my face from the fan.
Just keep it coming.
Just keep it coming. But if it's already cold, then I don't want no fucking breeze. So I don't get you.
I don't want like a breeze.
High maintenance.
I don't want a breeze that is like Leonardo DiCaprio in the freaking like what's that movie where his lips are like chapped the entire time? It's
what the fuck?
Yeah, he gets mauled by a bear.
Oh yeah, the Covenant.
Is it?
No, it's not the Covenant, but it's some shit like that.
I don't want Arctic
the Revenant.
to like...
The Revenant.
The Revenant.
whatever the
Not
fuck that movie is.
not the Arctic breeze or the Arctic, like, whatever, that just freezes your face
You
off,
don't
right?
you don't
Like,
want, you don't want the Alaskan
even
tundra.
yeah, the tangent. So in a car, I don't like having the air blowing full blast. But what I can't stand is stagnant air. Like if air is just not moving. And I don't have a reason, because luckily
weird.
my air does circulate pretty well. But like I still need that little bit of,
A little
I don't know if
breeze.
if you do this, but like, do you like get like a sheet and a fat ass comforter and then like poke your foot and you put the foot on the outside?
Oh, on the outside. Oh, you put it on
Yeah.
the outside. Okay, to get a little
Yes.
breeze.
Yeah, it's like the the thermometer.
Yeah,
Stick the
that's
toe out.
well. I mean, here because we don't have air conditioning, you're always like testing. All right, I'll leave the leg out, or like I'll leave half a leg out, and yeah, I mean, sport people shit. But you do it just for fun, it seems, because you have air conditioning. I can see it. I can see you have a nice little setup going on,
Yeah,
but
that
you
was
still
okay.
need
Breeze.
that little breeze to sort of touch your face and let you know, like, hey, I got you. You're
It
part of the
is.
1%.
I'm part of the yeah. Sure.
Bro.
But that's kind of what would stop me from living in a weird place, like in a very, like, I don't know. I don't know if I would live in Europe. I love maybe the adventure, the romanticism of like, oh my god, Paris, we croissant. But then if I'm fucking really just hanging myself off the balcony every day trying to catch a breeze, and I don't know.
I mean, when you get here, you really find out, like, oh yeah, Paris is just filled with rats and thieves. But yeah, so it's not the Mecca that you're thinking of.
And
I think
croissants.
Europe is perfect for, like, I'ma go there, I'ma do shrooms, you know, type shit. Like, I'ma go backpacking everywhere I go. Oh, I'm an American and I'm chilling here. But if you have to live here, you get a little bit of the culture, which is a positive, but then you get to live in the 1800s, and so, so that's what you get.
I imagine Europe to be somewhat like New York, where like not in the sense that everything is old, but that in order to get luxuries, you got to pay a real high premium, because space is of such a high premium.
Especially if you live in a capital, it's super crazy. And I myself, I like space. When in the Americas, like, I'm from South America, but this happens in the States as well. You have space. Like, space is valued. And I mean, I think this has to do with the fact that that's a newer, that's the new world. So, you had time to, like, how the fuck, to think, like, how we're going to do this, right? In Europe, shit just happened. Like, and then 400 years later, it's like, yo, cars don't fit here. Yeah, back then we fucking had donkeys and shit. So,
Yeah.
so like, you look at cities like Madrid, Paris, Barcelona. You can definitely see how the urbanism around it was made around the limitations they already had with the city they had built earlier on,
Yeah.
Although Barcelona is super futuristic. Barcelona is an amazing city, the way that it's been built. I wouldn't live there. I like different parts of Spain to live more, but Barcelona was, for the time when it was built, it was done by this great architect or urbanistic guy. But yeah, in any case, yeah, like Europe, I think is more like the dream. When you live here, it's a bit different, but it has its perks and its beauties, definitely.
Yeah,
Have you been here?
I've been to Madrid once when I was very young. I think I was in 5th grade.
For vacation?
I remember, yeah, vacation. I actually went with my grandparents. I rode a donkey in Madrid and in Barcelona. Well, I don't know where, but somewhere there. I tried my first Fanta over there.
Fanta.
That's where
You hadn't made it to the U.S. yet?
Hadn't made it to the U.S., yeah.
That's
the orange
crazy.
Fanta. I was like, hell yeah. Um,
You remember Madrid?
yeah, yeah, I remember. Actually,
You
it was funny. There's a story that I don't remember, but apparently I got lost in Madrid. Like I went down an alley and my brother was like, "Hey, he's going that way." I was like, "Yeah." Um, they almost lost me. That was a common occurrence on vacation, though. They always lose me. I'm like home alone without the drugs.
okay.
Drug abuse. But I enjoyed it a lot. I think I would do it again with Nat and take some like really sick photos. But yeah, I don't
I
know.
mean, Europe, especially when you come from the US, where everything is so modern and industrial, I guess could be a word to use. You come here and you see shit that's like, with Madrid, I'm pretty sure you experienced this. Everything just looks like you're in the fucking 1700s, and it looks like shit has happened here, like this history here, Bro, I've gone to bars here in Spain where you go into the bar and you look around and you're like, fuck, man, like people have died here. Like you can feel the age of things, and you don't see this really anywhere, because in the US or in South America, I mean, unless you're talking about like the Indian ruins and shit like that, like Machu Picchu and stuff, like a house can be maybe 200 years old, because it was made in the 1800s, But
in Europe?
No, in the US or in
Oh.
in America, right? But I've gone to like Barcelona, to cathedrals that have like 600 years there, or like just places that have thousands of years there, and there's things like of people that used to live there, and it's crazy when you like feel that I guess this is this invisible feeling of history, I don't want to sound like a fucking like a hipster here trying to like sound all intellectual, but there's something to it, like when you're in a place where shit has gone down for years and years and years. It's crazy, and you don't have that in America, because America, and when I talk about America, I talk about the whole continent. People forget America is the North, the Central, and South America. The whole thing is pretty new.
Side.
It's pretty West Side. It's pretty new. That's why it's called the New World. So it has like 200 or 250 years of history.
Yeah. No, in retrospect, yeah, it's got a whole. It's new construction basically compared to Europe and stuff,
and new cultures, very very young cultures.
Yeah. I don't know, but I don't know. Even on the newer side, where would you, having lived here, going and living over there, having been born on the southwest side, coming up to the northwest side, west side, where do you want to live? Where would you live if you had the choice? What's
Bro,
Kiko's?
I've been pondering on this question lately, because with this whole virus thing going on, a lot of people have had to work from home, and it's getting to the point where like it's gonna be irrelevant where you live, because you'll be able to do your work from your home, right? I hope so. I hope that's where it's going. It seems like that's the case, and then it's gonna make it easier for you to live anywhere. And the things that I'm looking at, if you can take away the job side of things, meaning you're taking care of your bills, somehow without having to go somewhere, right? You do it from home. I would look at places that have the lowest taxes, that have the best security, meaning where crime rates are very low, and also where the weather is somewhat tolerable. I think it's very hard to find a place that has an excellent measurement on all those things, but those are the main factors that I'll be looking at. I wanted to actually talk to you about a graph, or more than some statistics about certain places in the U.S. that might be interesting to live in, right? Okay. I know that in Europe, for example, Ireland is a good destination because they have really low taxes and they're very friendly towards small businesses, right? That's why you have, for example, I believe Google and Apple have their headquarters in Ireland. If Google doesn't, I know for sure Apple does. Like they have their main engineers in the U.S., but they put their headquarters in Ireland because it makes it cheaper on taxes. It's a little bit of a tax haven, but I don't like that word. There's places that offer benefit to companies tax wise, and I think
part of them is like I was reading something the other day. They are an American registered company, but they probably have a lot of their like really millionaires do. Like they have their money in Swiss bank accounts, offshore bank accounts, so that they're safe. But because, and I don't know if this is now because of the Trump administration or whatever, but a lot of big companies have brought back some of their business to the U.S. Because they're incentivized to.
This is the thing. Like the problem and this whole where to move, to me, the taxing situation is super important because the difference with me getting taken 10% of what I make to being taken 50% of what I make, that makes a big difference on what actions I can do for me and my family. Yeah. So I'm not sure of like if it's true or not. I mean, I'm not saying you're lying, but I don't know the specifics of companies coming back to the U.S. because Trump. But it could make sense because definitely I would assume Trump is cutting taxes while the Democrats raise them. And then companies, if they see that there's an incentive to still be in the U.S., and they were going to do it. This is a thing that people don't understand when they're all up for raising taxes all the time. Oh, the big corporations, let's raise taxes. Okay. If you raise taxes enough, the company is going to come to a point where they're like, look, man, it's cheaper if we set up a building, right, and a headquarters on some little island, and we run it from there. There's going to be administrative costs that are going to come from having the headquarters somewhere else. But those costs are now less than the taxes that we have to pay. So they do it. So at the end of the day, and I don't care if you're like, oh, but that's fucked up, they're looking out for themselves. Well, that's the nature of life. So I'm not even going to get there to that argument. But parting from the fact that we know people are always going to try to find the best thing that benefits them, right? Because that's the nature of a human being. If you pay 30% tax in the U.S. and they want you to pay now 50%, you're like, wait, I think I'm just gonna move this shit out of the U.S. and end up paying 40% outside instead of 50%. Because now, even though it's a huge cost to set up a building in some little island, now it's becoming more cost efficient to do that than to pay the high cost of taxes in my own country. So what people don't understand is that as you keep raising the tax, there's a point where you actually start receiving less money because the people that you would have taxed are actually not even on that pool anymore. So you get diminishing returns when you raise the tax too much because the big companies end up looking for other ways to get the fuck out. And the small businesses get hurt the most because they don't have the money to go to an offshore account. They don't have the money to set up some shit in the fucking Cayman Islands or whatever. So they have to swallow the tax, raise the prices, and lower their sales. And that's
and be beaten by the competitive market that these big companies can sell something at for cheaper than they can, locally. Yeah, it's a crazy dynamic, man. I mean, and you really have to, you'd have to be a real niche small business owner to even to compare, So, but I mean, that makes total sense on like business corporation sides. What about personally? What about what do you think somebody should consider when moving somewhere? I mean, you have people who don't have kids, you have people who do have kids, There's the question of neighborhoods and schooling and all the stuff that goes with that. I don't know. What do you think? I mean,
so I was looking recently. One of the channels that I listen to is in YouTube is called Valuetainment, It's by an entrepreneur called Patrick Bet David. This guy is super cool, and he always provides a good explanation on things and tries not to be biased. So I like it. I like that. If you can check it out, but he had an episode recently where he's talking about the things to consider before moving to another state, or the reasons why you should move to another state. This is more specific to the U.S. And the 10 things that he mentions, which I kind of agree with, is like quality of life, right? So what type of entertainment, weather, sports, ambiance you're gonna have where you go, taxes, which we just talked about, the quality of talent. So if you're gonna have a business, is this a good place where you'll be able to get workers that are really good at whatever your business is, right? Airports. That's one thing to consider, to maybe go to a place that, if you don't like a big city, you go to a city that's big enough that it has an airport to take you, if you need, right. Politics and regulations, that's definitely right. The policies and the quality of market, that's more business driven. The population growth, the crime, which to me is one of the main ones, and long-term plans. When I look at this list, and you can get this PDF with the things we're going to talk about here on the Valuetainment channel, which I strongly recommend. But the things that I talked about before, which are included here, is the crime. How secure is the place you're going? That to me is important. Then the taxes, super important to me. And then quality of life, which includes the weather. Like, I think Spain is a good example of a place that has good enough weather where you can live, because it doesn't get too cold, it doesn't get too hot. But I think that maybe on the taxes and the policies for small businesses, it's not the best place to be. Based on some studies that I found, it seems, in my opinion, looking at the numbers, that states like Nevada, Florida, and Texas, among others, but these are the ones that, in my opinion, fit most of the criteria. So you have Nevada, Florida, and Texas, who have some of the best scores for how friendly those states are with small businesses starting out. Sorry, you wanted to say something?
So no, I was just gonna say, those numbers that you're pulling up now are based on the financials, right? On some of the things that you were talking about, which, if you were a small business owner, or even just a person who lives there and is part of the community of that state, you have business taxes, and you have income tax, and you have sales tax and property taxes. I'm assuming that with all of those different categories, these 3 states seem to fit a low cost of living, or lower.
Correct. Okay. So, I mean, this was done taking into account 62 different policy measures, including tax, regulatory, and government spending measures. So there is a lot of factors included, but it does sort of, it is what you mentioned. It's pretty much like a measurement of, like, okay, how much taxes do they charge on income, on sales? What's the cost to start a business? So they take all that into account, and they make a measurement to sort of rank which states have, the best friendliness. Would you be willing to pay more money if you were able to have the perfect weather, or able to have the lower crime? For instance, you have Texas, right? If me or you were to move to Texas, we would be very much discriminated against and things like that. You think so?
So maybe. Yes. Yes. I mean, maybe not in parts, because there's a lot of Mexican and Latin influence there, but like
there's some progressive cities there. I think Austin.
Yeah, like Austin is a nice one. I guess what I'm saying is like there, where you have, it's like Georgia, right? Georgia has Atlanta.
I mean, just to say, we don't want to generalize. I don't think Steven means the whole Texas might be discriminatory, but I mean, those are things to keep in mind. It is a more conservative state. That's a reality.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm not saying
Florida is too.
Florida, yeah, I'm telling you, like outside of Miami, like we are of a different kind, you know, like the South Florida is really more like North South America,
Yeah.
like you said in the last one.
Yeah.
It's like but then once you get to Oakland, I'm sorry, Lakeland, uh, Ocala, Gainesville, these places are very country, and they don't really have too many Latin influences there, so it's not the norm, but Florida as a whole is very reasonable to live in,
Yeah,
tax wise and everything like that.
right. And
So
socially,
where do you go?
well, I mean, I think
You know?
that's an important thing to keep in mind. The numbers that I have are more driven towards tax and business friendly, and you have Florida, Texas, and Nevada being the runner-ups, in my opinion, right? Because those are the ones that, in general, have the lowest taxes, not only for house taxing, but also income tax, sales tax, and are the friendliest for starting business. And then after you have those numbers, then you have to go into the more vague sections, which is, okay, like you mentioned, are you going to have the same sort of treatment in South Florida as a Latin American than if you go to Texas? Well, that's something to keep in mind and see how cities are there. Another thing is the weather, right? I mean, in Florida, people like to say it's amazing weather. I mean, I think that's relative too, because it is hot as fuck, and that's annoying. But
Yeah.
but I guess you don't have the tundra cold that people suffer in the northern states. So and I think Texas, Florida, and Nevada. I mean, Nevada maybe not, because I think Nevada does have snow in some places. But Texas and Florida
Yeah.
are pretty similar, right? In weather wise.
Yeah,
They're
Texas.
both hot
I
as
mean,
fuck.
yeah, I think the more closer you get to the equator, you have more humidity, right? Especially when you're by the water. So you have to think about maybe South Texas is more like Florida, but then if you go up North Texas, you're talking about like maybe some Georgia type climates, right? So that's a possibility. You have California, which is absolutely beautiful, but the taxes are just astronomical. So I don't know. It'd be a good thing to think about. So you got to think about, if Texas is going to be a potential place. Yeah, I mean, I definitely like Mexican food and like, the whole ranch. You have a lot more space. That space that you want, you can definitely find it in Texas.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I have a few friends in Texas that tell me good things about it.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those cool places. But one of the things that would always keep me here, or at least somewhere else, is family, and that's another layer,
That's another
right?
big
Like,
factor.
yeah, I think without my family, when you talk about those long-term visions, you have that the fact that maybe you want to start a family, or you might want to start a business, and when you have these things, you need support. I mean, it's just natural human behavior to want a support system. I mean, I'm sure there are those who don't need it, but especially in the Latin culture, like myself and probably you, it's nice to have your family around the corner, and like, because that's your cloth in which you're cut from. It'd be weird to be kind of separated from it. So, or like when you need babysitters, or you just want to, I mean, life is only as long as it is, and if you don't at least
That's
capitalize
funny
on that time.
how we assume that as Latin people, babysitters, yeah, my mom can take care of the kid.
No,
That's
for
fucked
sure,
up.
dude. Hey, but my mom is happy to. She's like,
Yeah,
drop
yeah.
them off whenever, whenever. You're like, hey,
Now, it's
I'ma
funny
hold you to
because
it.
some people would argue. It seems like you would. I myself too. I don't want to sound like I'm not a family man, but I think people would argue that everything you do in life is so that you could live with your family and live well. So it seems like everything should be driven there. So this is where the conversation or my mental debate about where to live takes a turn, because I look at these three states, right? And I'm like, all right, these are the best places for taxes, in my opinion. And you could do the same ranking with countries in the world, right? And you're gonna find places that are amazing, right? But then you start thinking about other shit like, well, weather. Okay, what about the culture? And I'm a type of person that I like to adapt to where I go, and I love other cultures. But would it be the case that if I move to this place, it's gonna be so different to me that people are not even gonna accept me? That's a factor. And then the family, would you move to a place? I mean, I guess the question is, would you stay in a place that you might not feel has the best or ticks all the boxes for a good place to live just because your family is there? Or will you try to maybe get your family to move out with you to a different place? And what do you consider your family? Your mom, your brothers, your direct family, cousins, grandma, like how far would you take it? Like, let's say you get an opportunity. And I know like living in different places, it would be great if you work from home. But let's say that you got a job opportunity where you needed to move, let's say Texas, right? A really nice city in Texas where tax-wise is great. It's actually a very diverse community, so no problem on the whole being accepted thing. Great Mexican restaurants, very secure place. You can get your own little gun and ride around with your little sombrero, right?
Hell far.
So you get a great job opportunity to go there.
Right.
And don't take into account your fiance, because obviously that will maybe think if it was just you, so that I could just get your own thoughts on it and not any other bias, like just you. If you were on your own, you got a great opportunity, would you move and leave your family, or is that something that like you would need to stay close to them?
This actually happened to me already in my life, where I had to let go of had to let go a little bit of that, because the choices that I made to be with someone, to settle down and things like that. There is a time in your life when you can do it, and some people have it. It kind of progresses, right? Like get at high school, you live in the bachelor life or bachelorette life and whatever. But as you get older, you want to be with someone, and that person's decisions or wants and needs are just as important as yours, because you've now chosen to be with this person, right?
Right.
And this person makes you happy. But Steven, scumbag Steve on the prowl doing whatever. I would probably, I moved to Clearwater for a little bit. I had a job where I had to be throughout the entire state of Florida, and so being in Clearwater was really nice, because that's that weather you would love. I'm telling you right now, Middle Florida is where it's at, and not only Middle Florida, but like West Coast Florida, like right on that side, bro.
Gulf Coast.
Gulf Coast, dude. Oh my God, I've never ever seen anything so beautiful, because you have beaches, right? And then you have, not too far, you have like monte. You have like this hilly, big, dense trees, and like it's not mountain range. Obviously, it's still Florida, but you can go camping, you can do mountain biking, you can do.
Is this a place that when I look at, like, whenever you see some like Facebook post of like this amazing cove in the middle of Florida? Like, and it's like this foresty, tropical type shit. That's the type of shit you're talking about, right?
Yeah, a crystal clear water springs you can go like diving into. Like Florida is much, much more than just beaches. But the fact that you have the beach right there, and then you have all of this available to you, and you have the tax rates low, like fuck California, dude.
And you got Scientology Center right there.
Yeah, bro. What?
What it do though?
Hey, honestly, they're everywhere, but they're just so central that it's not really like
you don't feel it.
No, you don't feel it. But you go there into the city, and it's like this is weird. Like like imagine walking.
You feel like you're being audited everywhere you go.
Yeah, you're walking. Like imagine like you're just walking through a cult. You're like, okay, like this is obviously like a very strange feeling. But other than that, like the beach, they're not on the beach. They're just in downtown, and nobody goes to downtown. Anyways, that was awesome for me. I really didn't want to move, and I was like, I pushed and pushed. I was like, look, everybody's going to move up here. Miami's going to crap. The taxes are going to keep getting bigger or higher. The corruption, the tolls, the traffic. I came up with every excuse from here to Sunday, and
too many Venezuelans.
yeah. I mean, it's crazy. So, but so yes, if I had to choose, it would be West Coast Florida, 100%.
Oh, really? And you've already experienced this?
And I've already experienced
West
it.
Coast,
I think it's amazing.
middle Florida.
West Coast, yeah, Central Florida, like where Orlando is, but like
to the left,
to the west,
to the left, to the left. All right, bro.
On the coast. I mean, you can do Sarasota.
You've told me this before, and I've really like looked into it, and I think that's because also, and this works for me too. It's close enough to the family type shit.
Well, that's what I thought, but.
Well, for Dirtbag Steve, that would be close enough.
That'd be way close enough, yeah, honestly.
Yeah, for me, I'll be like perfect close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe I'll get a little back every year, but to start off.
Away, like going away from.
I move the flagpole little by little, so they get confused every year when they come visit me. Like, yo, what the fuck? Like, no, I'm still here. I got love for you. I just don't want to be. I don't want to be a 30-minute drive for you away.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind. I would actually love it if all of them moved close by, but that's where it's at. Because the 2 weeks of cold that you get in Miami is 2 months of cold in Central Florida.
Oh, perfect.
It's that much of a difference. Like I actually wore my sweaters like 3-4 weeks
and it's nice,
in a row.
Man. When I moved to Spain, and here, you don't get 4 seasons, but you definitely get hot and cold. 6 months of hot and 6 months of cold. And bro, I cannot say what it is exactly, but when you live in a place where the weather changes, that gives you there's some dynamic that it adds to your life that's a positive. Because when I lived in South Florida and in Venezuela, you don't get weathers or seasons or what. It's just hot all the fucking time. So you know what I realized? That when you have places like that, your memories are harder to pinpoint. Because you could be like, oh yeah, that was that winter. Because you remember it was fucking cold and you were wearing all this shit. But when you live in a place that's always hot, it's like, yeah, that shit happened back in the day. I don't remember. I don't even have a reference on when the fuck it happened. You know what I mean? Like when I think of Venezuela and I think like, oh, that time at the beach. Yeah, you cannot pinpoint that to a summer because the beach is any time in the year. We used to go in Christmas on the 25th of December to the beach to keep celebrating Christmas. So I think that having that contrast of cold and hot it makes it great. 2 months of cold, perfectly reasonable. Miami, you don't get a cold. You get a few weeks with a little breeze, and then you have all the little fashion
scorching
people.
earth.
Yeah, trying to fucking no, but I mean like you get people trying to like, oh yeah, wear like their ski boots and shit. Like, yo, shut the fuck up.
Oh yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
You're not in Colorado, dog. You can take off the ski glasses now. Yeah.
Yeah, for real. And it's hard because especially if you live anywhere inland, if you're not by water, you're not getting any breeze. Yeah. Like not like you would anywhere else. Like
if you live in Hialeah, you're burning.
Yeah, exactly. Like you remember when we went out during Art Basel in Miami when you came recently?
Yeah.
And it was nice. We were wearing long sleeves, but then shortly after you left, back to short sleeves, you know what I mean? But the only reason that was bearable then, because honestly, it was only like 76 degrees. It wasn't like, was because we were by the water.
Yeah, that's true.
We were right there by the water, So, it's bearable, but like, I'm telling you, in Clearwater, I would have like 2 months of cold, 6 months of nice breezy weather. Go out in the middle of the day, noon, 1 o'clock, and it's breezy. Like find a shade and like, you can
now
do
you
anything.
Think around this area of Clearwater, middle of the U.S., middle of Florida to the west, because Clearwater isn't cheap, right? Well, are there places around there that share the same characteristics, but maybe they're not as expensive? I'm not saying Clearwater is expensive, but it isn't. It isn't much cheaper than like a place in Miami, from what I saw.
Yeah, there's nice places. There's some places. Regions. Yeah, you're. I think the
But tell me
I think what you
from a local clear waterian.
clear water. No, I think honestly, when I was looking at like the market value of homes and stuff like that, we're talking about $60,000 to $80,000 difference, at least in the bracket that I was looking at, which is a normal
Cheaper?
starter home, cheaper than Miami.
Oh, okay.
Now,
Now, also you comparing it to Miami, and not, for example, where you live now, right?
right, exactly. Like where I
Would
live
it be
now.
cheaper than where you live now? Or
No, actually,
close.
no. It's closer to exactly. So the same. That's where I was going with it. Right. The same can be said with the outskirts of Miami. If you're willing to live way the heck down here by the Keys, where there's really not a lot of metropolitan area, it exponentially grows the closer you get to these major cities. So out here, I'm paying relative to what I was paying in Clearwater.
Now, is it relative to what you were paying in Clearwater, also in the outskirts of Clearwater?
That would be cheaper.
Oh, okay. So you were actually in Clearwater,
I was
where the fucking
center.
spaceship comes.
Yeah, where Tom Cruise just descends from this
Repels from a helicopter.
repels from the International Space Station.
Okay, that's where you live. So if you were to go to the outskirts, where you would still see Tom Cruise, but from a distance, you would even get
as a beacon of hope.
As a beacon of hope.
Oh god, no. So here's the catch-22 to that, right? Clearwater is decent. Palm Harbor, Safety Harbor, decent, but that's very close. Go to Newport Richie.
Damn.
That's the ghetto.
Newport Richie, you don't want to go there.
You don't want to go to Newport Richie, at least not right now.
But that's just very close.
That's well, I mean, it's like
it's the outskirts of it.
It's like it's like Doral and
Okay.
Doral to Pines.
Damn. So there is a big contrast on how nice Clearwater is and how other places around there are not as nice. Because I know Clearwater is close to Tampa, right?
It's close, yeah. Tampa's inland. So you know how Miami and Miami Beach are, where Miami Beach is an island?
Yeah.
Clearwater is not an island, but it's a peninsula that comes off from the top. So when you look at Florida, it's like Florida has like a teardrop coming off. That teardrop is where Clearwater and St. Petersburg is. St. Petersburg, by the way, is very nice. St. Petersburg is like the hippie town, but like high class. Oh, so you want to spend Miami money, you go to St. Petersburg.
Okay, so if you want to spend the money you would spend in Miami, you go to St. Petersburg. You still got to spend the money, but you're going to get more for your buck, and it's a really nice place.
You get more, really nice place, a little bit more artsy.
Is this a place that's actually like one of the places that's the oldest in Florida? Like where... So I went to a place, St. Petersburg. Oh, but it's taking me to Russia.
No.
It's not the same. Not the same as Petersburg. It's very different.
Yeah, no, St. Petersburg, Florida.
Oh, so it's like the south part of that teardrop.
Yeah, the south part, and it's beautiful. I mean, they've got a lot of local business. I mean, fíjate, they weren't even really affected with the coronavirus that much. I mean, I don't know why, but like... Everybody there, like a week after stay-at-home orders, they went back out. My mom just went there because we still have that property up in Clearwater, and it's like, nobody up there really cares. It's so there's so much more respect on a regular basis. Like here in Miami and probably in other metropolitan areas, people are like on top of you.
No respect.
But over there, it's like, oh, okay, we have something going on. Well, you know what? I'm going to be a little bit smarter and say, I'm not going to wear my mask, but I'm not going to be so close to you. So like, we're going to keep our distance. This is where the beaches opened up first off rip. And then everybody's like, oh my God, everybody's on the beach at Clearwater. They were flooding. Yeah, but where was the coronavirus tick?
You think as a culture... There, people just behave better.
The behavior, yeah, that's way better.
Okay, but this is a bit more pricey.
Say what?
This is a bit more pricey.
No, St. Pete, Clearwater, like the culture on West Coast Florida is different than.
No, I mean pricey. I'm saying more. It costs more to live here than Clearwater, for example.
It's in Miami, yeah, or in South Florida. More pricey, but
It's also
then
nicer.
yeah, well, I mean, you have more suburbs types of stuff because like St. Petersburg is nice, but that's a downtown area and that's super nice. When you go to the suburbs, there are more suburbs down here that are nice than there are up there because that area is so it still hasn't gotten there.
Okay.
Tampa has been there for a really long time, um they grew like more. They're not that many. They're not that many suburbs. So now is when they're getting into the suburbs that are further out from the center of Tampa, and then it's gonna. I would say in the next 20 years, all of that's gonna be super nice, really
Okay.
nice. But well,
Okay.
that's my thoughts.
So I see here if you go towards the top, Palm Harbor, and then Tarpon Springs, and then you get to Newport Richie, which I mean, just the name already sounds like yeah. All right, and then you have a lot of green going up this side of Florida. How about if you had like a job opportunity? Well, fuck with that hypothetical. If it wasn't Florida, what would be the other state that you would move to, taking into account the taxes, but also like the personal stuff, the weather,
Colorado.
Colorado, right? You been there?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, but it's expensive as hell. So I mean, but it's the lesser evil than from California. So
Okay, so you think Colorado, you get the good part of like a nice little culture, super beautiful place, but it's not as hard on the taxing.
yeah, it's not as hard as the taxing. You have a lot. You can position yourself to not be in the mountains where you're freezing your ass off all year or
Okay.
most of the year, and then but because Colorado just has really beautiful weather like all throughout. Only thing you lose there is a body of water.
Yeah, that's true. I can
But-
see here it's straight up a square with nothing. Like no
But it's
water.
beautiful.
But yeah, here is beautiful, and what you have like that. This is another thing to keep into account, like the policies when it comes to like, for example, if you smoke the weed skirts, right? If you're a little Smitto,
Oh my God.
Smitters,
Never. Never.
I myself keep away from that type of things, but I do respect whoever likes to to dwell into those type of behaviors. But if you do like that, then Colorado is a perfect place. But if you go to Texas, you go to fucking jail.
Yeah. Right.
And I know a story
It's just-
of somebody that like was doing like
Oh,
a little,
no.
it's like a Venezuelan comedian. He was doing like a little tour around the U.S. because there's enough Venezuelans in the U.S. where you could do that now, and he was just willy nilly, doing a dingo from different states, but he didn't realize that Texas wasn't fucking around.
Yeah.
So I think it was a traffic stop. They got him with weed. Motherfucker went to jail, dog.
That's what I was kind of getting to when we were talking about Texas earlier. Is that although Texas may be really cool, really nice, and I'm sure Austin is probably a little bit more lax on certain things, bro. There's a lot of old school mentality
And
throughout the
and
rest
laws,
of Texas. And laws, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
they have the craziest laws. I can't pinpoint one, but like I remember messing around one day and like seeing, you can't walk your donkey through this street in like Nevada or like these old. You ever seen those like those laws that are just
like
irrelevant?
absurd laws. Like you cannot suck a dick on Wednesday while eating an ice cream. That shit.
So yeah,
Not in front of the flag.
So Texas had quite a few, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, Texas also has more wildcats than they are in the wild. In the wild, yeah, they have more captive wildcats in Texas than there are in the wild.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, is that from like the Joe Exotic?
Well, I knew that from before, but I mean, Joe Exotic is not even in Texas, but
he's Oklahoma, yeah.
actually,
But
whatever.
it's
I think I'm getting it wrong. I think it's maybe in the whole No, I think it's in Texas alone, bro. There was some statistic that said that in Texas, because Texas is huge on the wildcats,
Yeah,
fanatic culture or whatever. Like they like that, and I think there's like more than 5,000 tigers in Texas, and in the wild there's not more than 4,000. I think
okay.
some shit
Yeah, I
like that.
mean, I know that right now in captive, there are more captive tigers than there are wild tigers.
In what?
But there are more captive tigers than there are wild, free roaming tigers, and that's because everybody was killing tigers, so they had to. I mean, I kind of agree with keeping the race or the species alive if it means, you know, keeping them fed and all right. I mean, obviously not to the point where people start to sell them for profit and for business, but I guess what I'm saying is that when you got tigers out in the wild, people are poaching them more often than not. But when you have captive tigers, like at, you know, Big Cat Rescue or wherever they have like these kinds of things, you know, if it's a sanctuary, like they should keep these alive and start working with international organizations that, you know, keep the species alive throughout the world, you know. But yes, long story short, I think that there are more captive tigers than free roaming tigers. Hey guys, thanks for stopping by the Broskiedoodles podcast today. We hope you had a lot of fun listening to it. We had a lot of fun recording it. If you like what you heard, go ahead and smash that like button and hit us up on all of our social handles. Leave us a comment so we can talk to you online and figure out what else to talk about online. So, yeah.